We're Arctic Monkeys. This is Don't Believe the Hype.
That rock and roll, eh? Ladies! That sound means it's the end of the round. Time for the bonus question. Cheers, dude.
That man just yawned.
We're gonna call it,
Don't Believe the Hype.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Don't Believe the Hype, the podcast dedicated to covering the entire discography of Arctic Monkeys in chronological order. I'm your host, Justin, and tonight's episode is Series 5, Episode 13, where we will be diving into 2013, the first official B-side from the album AM. But before we get into all of that, let me first introduce my co-host and the creator of this podcast. He's the kind of guy who wants a time machine so he can go back to 2013 and live it all again. It's Dan. Welcome, Dan.
I so do. I wouldn't change a thing. I might end a relationship rather than just sort of letting AM ruin it with my misdeeds. But other than that, no, yeah, I would go back. If you could go back to 2013, what would you do? Anything different?
I would invest in some different stocks. I'll tell you that, or I would invest in some specific stocks.
Invest in
but yeah, sure. I mean, I do a lot of things different for sure.
Yeah, I do. Sometimes I feel like, I guess, because it's a butterfly effect, right? You change one thing and you might not.
Yeah, everything changes. Yeah,
you know, you might not have met your partner or anything like that. You know, so I guess you kind of have to. Because have you ever done that thing where you trace back? I've done it. I trace back like events that led me to a certain point, and if you go far back, it kind of blows your mind. You're like, oh my god, if that didn't happen, then that wouldn't happen, and then that wouldn't happen. Yeah. Need it. So you know, who knows really? Yeah, if I could go back, yeah, I wouldn't be. What does Alex say in the lyric? Time machine. What does Alex do? I remember. He's just in love, isn't he? Comes a love song.
In this song, and you're talking about 2013.
Perhaps maybe in the breakdown.
Okay.
Maybe in the breakdown.
All right. Okay. We'll get there, I guess. A little tease.
Yeah. Maybe. So yeah, but no, we are here to talk about 2013. An episode that I think is going to be very different to usual. There's not a loads, obviously. There is no admin either in a week when we could have used some admin probably. I'm pretty sure my normally, like when I'm doing them, like a bonus round idea will come. There was absolutely nothing to trigger a bonus round idea. So this is going to be what it is. Most of you probably aren't even bothering to listen. But I think you should just for comedy value because there's going to be a little bit of some... the hardcore group will have fun with it. We'll have some fun today as well as a little bit of a debate because I don't hate it as much as some. But I'm also not going to, as I said to Justin, I'm not going to die on the hill of this song. I'm not going to pretend that it's great. But before we give our thoughts on it, shall we listen to it briefly? Because there's no live track. Spoiler alert, in case you were wondering if they'd ever done it live. So let's have a little 29-second clip of it, shall we? Because that's all we're allowed.
You knew it to go amazing, but is this what you had in mind? Oh, there's nothing you can't find. It's 2013 all across the galaxy. It's 2013.
There it is, 2013 from the B-side release that we'll get into in the information. For my thoughts, okay. Here's what I think. I think musically, to a point, it's absolutely fine. If they had different lyrics on it, would we feel differently about this song? That's something we can get into as we go. I think, but also at the same time, they recognize that musically it's also a bit silly. Like, so it's a decent enough rock song, but it's also a bit of a fun, like, cheesy rock song, right? In the music with the way they're doing the solos, in this style and all this kind of stuff. And I think they recognized that, so they knew it was like B-side fodder, which is fine. It's never a place to have a bit of a laugh. It's the B-side, right? And I feel like people get really annoyed by this one on the internet. I've seen, or like that it's like the worst song they've ever done, which it may well be. I still think I would still rather listen to this than The Bad Thing, and I'll put that out there right now. The Bad Thing is still worse than this for me, and I think that's a fair comment. Because musically, I think it's fine and it's a laugh. And if you don't think, I don't know what to tell you, because the people listening to this podcast, they get it. But I don't know what to tell people if they don't think the process was they thought this was a bit of silly fun in the studio one day, and they were joking around, and they thought, wouldn't it be funny to do a song about the year? And then this got ideas going, a bit like Brick by Brick, right? And they were probably all having a laugh, writing these silly lyrics about technology in 2013 and doing it. And some of it is quite well written as a joke. I think I actually find it quite funny, this song, like with the way he's sort of impressed by pausing a TV and the way he words that. Like, it makes me laugh. And I see it as a bit of a laugh, a bit of a comedy song. They're not taking themselves too seriously, which is one of the things that I love the most about this band, that they could do AM and then they could have a B-side where they're just being fucking stupid. It's a bit like Brick by Brick again in that essence, except Brick by Brick made it on the album. At least this is like, you know, a B-side where it belongs, perhaps. And I just think they've never played it live. They've never talked about it. They know what it is. They're not going out there. They didn't go. Alex wasn't sat there writing these lyrics going, oh, yeah, this is a serious rock song about people will remember this song about this year when it comes out. Like, it's just a bit of a laugh. And if I think some people might say, well, why should they put out a song that's just a laugh? Is that not bad for the fans? And I would say, but that's what this band has always done. And one of the reasons why I fell in love with this band was their sense of humor and silliness, down to songs and lyrics, to them as people in interviews, and to stuff like, you know, when Helders used to film these little videos and stuff, and the sense of humor the band has, which perhaps I relate to because we're from similar places in the world, right? Maybe, and there's that kind of northern humor. And I just think, yeah, it's a bit of a laugh, and let's just enjoy it for what it is. No one's making you. Like, us talking about this is about as forced as anyone's ever having to be to think about this song and like dissect it. No one's making you do that. It's a B-side. It's a bit of fun. And maybe people just were annoyed because they wanted another song. But I think the two B-sides we do get in this era, I count as the main B-sides. And they're actually both pretty good. One of them, in fact, is superb. And other people love the other one. That could be like album tracks, probably, either of them. So, yeah, this is just a bit of a silly song. It's I think they did some of these in Favourite Worst Nightmare, like a couple of, you know, silly stuff. They've done it in, they didn't really do it in Humbug, but Suck It and See, certainly. How is this, here's what I say, how is this any different to IDST, a song about when you write If Destroyed Still True on a bus when you're a teenager, you know, and the music's just a silly rock one riff over and over again. I don't really see we have form for silly rock songs where I think they find it amusing to put stupid lyrics in a rock vibe. Like, you know, some bands like Nickelback do that. It's a serious thing, but let's say, but yeah, I just yeah, I have no problem with it. It's a bit of a laugh, and I don't think no one's telling us to take it seriously. The band aren't telling us to take it seriously, so why are we annoyed about it? Life's too short. That's my opinion. That's my rant. That's my whole defense of it.
All right, so what I will say to that is I disagree. I 100%, there's no doubt in my mind, and I'll tell you why, that this is the worst Arctic Monkeys song, almost to an offensive level. Like, look, it's easy to just not listen to a song, and that's fine, and really that's what I do. So it's not some song that, like, in any way ruins the band, or I think is, you know, like an insult or anything like that. But what I will say is, like, I literally, as far as I know, have every song that they have made professionally recorded. Most, like, even like a lot of the covers that they've done, and, you know, they've done a lot of silly covers, some really good covers, you know, a lot of the acoustic stuff that they've done, the demos and stuff like that. And every other song, you know how I do Frankenstein, putting everything out, like, when it comes to Arctic Monkeys, and you said finding a band that you love everything that they do, when it comes to Arctic Monkeys, even if I don't like a song on an album or I don't think it fits somewhere, I always find a place for it. Like, it's going somewhere with some other songs, or like to listen to it in a way, except for this song. This is a song that I never, under any context, want to listen to. And that's something. That's something, like, on the opposite end, that's a big deal for a band that you love. Like, there's over 100 tracks that I love, and this is the one that I would say I don't have anywhere to put this. So there's never any mood that strikes me where I say like I want to listen to 2013. Never.
Does the bad
And
thing
I
do
do
that
think
to
that
you?
there's, huh?
Does the bad thing ever strike you as a song that you want to listen to ever?
No, yeah, since I wasn't on that song, what I would say about Favorite Worst Nightmare, here's how I think. The bad thing. So when I say find a place for something, I always say like, oh, maybe Cornerstone is a little strange. So on Humbug, and I like the kind of moodier vibe. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take Cornerstone, I'm gonna put it with some Suckin' and Sea songs, and it fits there for me. So here's what I do with the bad thing. I agree, the bad thing is in a really bad placement and doesn't really belong on Favorite Worst Nightmare at all. There's a ton of B-sides from that album that are superior to me. But, however, in between the first album and the second album, even though they were released very close together, they released a ton of B-sides and an EP. Now, what I would say about that transition is I think it's a very interesting and distinct transition where when you take songs like Cigarette Smoker, Leave Before the Lights Come On, Who the Fuck Are Arctic Monkeys, Settle for the Draw, No Buses, and you kind of make this in-between album, it actually creates a beautiful transition from going from the like just party all night of the first album going out and stuff like that to the little bit more bitter, cynical, little bit more mature vibe of Favorite Worst Nightmare. And in between that, there's songs like, Despair in the Departure Lounge, No Buses, that have this like growing up feeling to them. And I think the bad thing fits in that transitional album, that like pseudo album. I think when you listen to, if you were to take the bad thing and put it with songs like Cigarette Smoker, Fiona, and Settle for the Draw and Leave Before the Lights Come On and Who the Fuck Are Arctic Monkeys, if you made an album out of that transitions into Favorite Worst Nightmare, I think it works perfectly fine there. I think it is. I think it's where it belongs, honestly. So yes,
Yeah, I
even
I
more
would
than the bad
say,
thing.
and people are like, why you compare it to the bad thing, but just because I know in my end list, because even though I'm giving some defense of this just to kind of make the podcast more interesting, really, but like I would say because these are going to be similar places, right? Bad thing is going to be at the very
Sure,
bottom of my list. This
absolutely.
is going to be
Absolutely,
probably
sure.
next. This is probably going to be the next bottom one, right? But the reason I find the bad thing, the comparison there, because I actually wouldn't pair the bad thing with Cigarette Smoke with that, because I actually think those songs are way better. And I know what you're saying about it being a bit more immature, but I just think it's a shit song, and it's just as it's as bad. That song is the one time I felt from Arctic Monkeys where I've got this is just as bad as all the other shit that I'm defending you as being better than, and you've slipped up here. And I think it's fine to not like this track. What I don't get, you said almost offensive. What could you explain to me what you mean by offensively bad?
Well, okay. What I mean by offensively bad. Now, let me get that straight. Like I said, people who like get up in arms about things like that, I think is quite silly because there's plenty to do in this world than to get worked up about stuff like that. But
Yeah.
this song's very easy to just skip and forget and put out of your life forever, which is what I do. But what I would say is, over and over again in the John Kennedy, we have heard them talk about how meticulous they were about creating this album and how much time they spent creating these things and the design that kind of goes into it. Now, I've even been on songs with you. I haven't followed, I haven't been on for a lot, but we did do Little Illusion Machine, we did IDST, we did You and Mine, which are again designed kind of jokes, designed to be kind of throwaway esque.
Yeah.
There now you say this is such a clear joke, and I don't disagree with you 100%, but maybe I disagree with you 25% because there is some clear effort that is put into this. There is like this breakdown, for instance, what they do with this breakdown. Now, you in your pre-album show talking about how much how much you get offended by wasted potential, where you say like, oh, that's an interesting piece, or that's something that's good, but because it never goes anywhere, because it's wasted, it almost offends me more. That's kind of how I feel about this song. So yeah, I just think, and specifically too, it's released as the first. I mean, this is paired with "Do I Want to Know." I mean, this is one of their biggest thing, and also too, up until this point, well, I guess it happened with Second and Sea too, but when you consider like Favorite Worst Nightmare had like 11 like fantastic B-sides, Humbug had like 8 or 9, Second and Sea dropped off a little bit, but Evil Twin's really good and Blondo Sonic's really good. I don't know, man, to just release this song with Do I Want to Know, knowing you only have like just barely any B-sides after like, people know you for your B-side. It's kind of like one of those distinct things for them at this point, I just,
I suppose,
I don't,
but it's not like
this
it
is
took
a
the place.
huge disappointment.
It's not like it took the place of anything, though. Like, it's not like there was like another B-side that they went, let's not release that and release this one. So
They've discussed
we
other
would've-
songs.
The only option would have been to not. I don't think they have in this era, have they? They've talked about different versions of songs, but
Maybe.
if anything, I think the reference on the John Kennedy that they just kind of had it X.
They
amount
had a
of songs
time
for this
limit,
one.
yeah.
Yeah, so it seems like yeah, we'd either have not
I
this
would've
song and 2
preferred a
B-sides, or we'd have
cover.
this. They don't. How many? It's
They
interesting
come
one, isn't it?
together.
Come together. Well, that was for the Olympics, though.
Sure, but they did
Specifically, yeah.
Baby I'm Yours, Put Your Dukes Up, John, official covers.
Yeah, back in the early. I suppose all the B-sides, the degradation of the B-sides, I think is an age thing. I think it's I think the in the youth you write a lot more quickly, I would imagine, and then as time's
Yeah.
gone on, that doesn't happen as well. 'Cause that happens with all bands. You just see like less and less output as time goes on. But yeah, for me, I mean, I'm more offended by The Bad Thing as a track purely because it's on an album and it's a black mark on an otherwise pretty decent, iconic almost album. So it's like, why is that on there? Why did Alex choose to put that on there? It's annoying. We're like, what if You Right First Time could have been a bigger track if it had been on there? It's that kind of thing.
Sure.
This one, it's not like I'm going. If this was on AM, then yeah, I'd be shitting all over it, obviously. But it's just a bit of a laugh. But I think I don't find it actually that like I find like the music in The Bad Thing like bad. And the
Have you
lyrics,
ever heard the demo of The Bad Thing? I'm curious. Have you ever heard that demo?
Yeah. The one
I
that
think
was
that
released
demo
before.
is like significantly better.
Yeah,
like it's not as
I-
sharp.
it's got a more energy to it. Really,
Yeah,
hasn't
it's got a
it? The demo,
punkier
okay.
vibe to it. It's in a different register, so he sings it like a lot lower. It's significantly better in my opinion.
Yeah, look. I'm not defending it in the way that, like I said, like I'm gonna down it. I just don't think it's like that. I've probably listened to this track more in the last 12 years than The Bad Thing. I can tell you that. In fact, to cover The Bad Thing was the last time that I actually listened to The Bad Thing. Like that was the most I've listened to it in years and years, to be honest. When we had to cover it, yeah, I just think it surprises me that people find the lyrics to Don't Sit Down or Brick by Brick, like, and you don't like Don't Sit Down, I'm just talking about like general people, but
Sure,
like
sure.
that they find Alex's lyrics amusing and they get the joke with tracks, but with this one, like they really don't get the jokes. And I actually don't even think the music's that bad. I mean, you said they spent a lot more time on it, but like who knows? Like they spent a bit of time on it, but we do know that they can crack out a song pretty quick sometimes, from what we've heard about the studio stuff. So like I don't think there's a few produced bits in it, but it is pretty samey most of the way through. And I think kind of put it like you can take, the style of the solo, the wah, 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 that feels jokey to me because they haven't really done that kind of. That's a very specific type of solo that you hear in a lot of cheesy rock,
Yeah.
and then dropping down to an acoustic. Like that's a very rock trope, and I just feel like they're taking the piss doing the rock trope and doing that. And like I say, it didn't, like The Bad Thing took the place of a track, right? This one
Sure.
hasn't taken the place of any track.
That
It's just
action
there.
is a lot more offensive for sure. I understand that.
Yeah, like what could have been, but like this hasn't like done anything. Like you say, you can easily put it in a box. Whereas if it was an album track like The Bad Thing, I can't put The Bad Thing in a box because if I want to listen to the vinyl of what Favorite Worst Nightmare, I have to listen to The Bad Thing, right? I can't just park it away forever. Whereas this, it can just be, it's nowhere. It doesn't exist unless, even if you have to do one on no vinyl, you can stop the vinyl before it or don't turn it over, you know? So this is a song that can be gotten rid of if you don't like it. And yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of people, I don't know, what do people think? Get in touch, because I'm sure there's probably people who think that this is better than some songs on Tranquility, because that has so much hate attached to it, Tranquility, that I don't think
that would
so.
be wild, yeah. If you think this is better than Tranquility, please let us know, because what is going on?
A lot of the themes are similar, though, of the lyrics, ironically. But like sort of futuristic technology, stuff like that. Well, technology.
Yeah, that's why I'm not, honestly, you're like so convinced that it's like this big joke that they're playing, but you're right. I mean, some of the things that like Alex are talking about is like, okay, to say brick by brick several, a dozen times over and over is a very clear, obvious joke, but there's some things in here that make it seem like they line up with Alex's age and way of thinking heading into Tranquility that doesn't feel like it's 100% a joke.
I don't think that's fair, because there's a huge gap between this and Tranquility. I don't think this has any.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm just saying
it's quality.
He changes as a no. Even in ideas, like I don't think he was musing on technology for 5 years. I think that's something very specific that happened. Yeah, like a couple of years later, particularly when he started writing the piano. Like, I don't think this is connected.
We'll talk about it in the lyrics, but I think there are some things in here that really actually truly resonate with who Alex is as a person. That is not necessarily 100% a joke, like Brick by Brick is. Brick by Brick is 100% clearly a joke. There are some things in here that I think absolutely line up with Alex's way of thinking and lifestyle.
I think 100% this is a joke, and I think even the way it's written feels like him trying to write a funny sort of rock song in the same way. I don't think there's, for me.
We'll save it for the lyrics specifically.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything in particular that I would say is a truism to Alex, but other than the fact that he sometimes writes funny songs. But I would be shocked if this was even just Alex. I think this was a committee. This was the band pissing about with writing the lyrics, and like Nick going like, "Oh, what if you called the apple like shiny fruit?" Do you know what I mean? That's what it feels like to me. It feels like that, because Brick by Brick was similar, wasn't it? It was like
They said they were all doing it like in the bars and stuff. Yeah, they would try. Yes. They came up with like a dozen different ways to say one line or whatever.
Yeah, and if anyone thinks that they weren't, that they were sat listening, as the band that we know were sat listening to some recorded studio and thinking, these lyrics are good. Like, do you know what I mean? It's ridiculous. So yeah, but we will go into the information on it, and then we can dig into the song a bit more. So let's do that.
The information action ratio, ain't that the place to go?
2013 is 2 minutes and 26 seconds long with 12.5 million streams on Spotify. It was released as a B-side to Do I Want to Know on the 19th of June 2013. It was produced by James Ford and Ross Orton, and the song is 157 beats per minute and is in the key of G. And the song has never been played live. So yeah, that's pretty much all the info. Until Justin, would you bloody believe it, Justin? I don't think you are going to quite believe it, but
could say they're selling like ghost cookies.
Yeah, so for 1 week, on the 3rd of August 2013, this entered the official indie singles chart in the UK.
Oh my God.
What number in the charts do you think this entered the official indie singles chart?
What is it, like 100 within top 100, or like what is that?
It's under 50.
You mean like so one? I have to guess 1 to 50. Okay. Oh yeah, wow. Yeah. Oh. 49.
You take a bit longer guessing to pad out this episode. That'd be great. No, 36. 36.
What? I do not believe that.
Yeah, so it obviously got streamed. I reckon that's stream or vinyl purchases of Do I Want to Know.
Vinyl purchases of Do I Want to Know. That's still a hot commodity. It's hard to get a hold of a Do I Want to Know.
Tell me about it. I know I keep sort of wanting to beef up my singles, vinyls, but it's just like, can I drop that much money on like what is essentially 2 tracks that I've heard a million times that are on, like, do you know what I mean? Like, so
Yeah, yeah.
I have to prioritize it sometimes, but maybe eventually. Um, the B side is included as a hidden track on the Polish and Japanese versions of AM.
Oh, poor
So that's
Japanese.
for
Oh,
Japanese and
they,
Poles.
they could see. That's another bad thing too. Okay, you're gonna put it on the Japanese version. Why wouldn't you put? Okay. Why wouldn't you put the 2 other infinitely better tracks? That's pretty fucked up, right? Would you admit that's pretty
There's
fucked
probably
up?
kind of, but I mean, I have to listen to the bad thing on every version of Fruitless Nightmare, so I'm not really
I
too.
know, but
But
I mean, one of they
there
have
might
to
be a
spend a lot
reason.
more money for the vinyl. Like, why would you put
It's
2013 on
probably
there? It's
it's probably
terrible.
it's probably timing because when they came out, the additional track and the other 2 weren't being released yet. I don't know. There's probably a
Yeah.
record label reason, isn't there? I mean, how much do Arctic Monkeys get involved in what goes on the Polish and Japanese like versions of the LPs? You know, it's hard to
Guess
know.
that's what I'm saying is
Really,
like if that's
it's a
if
label
this was the
problem, right?
last one and it wasn't on the Japanese version and like, still Stop the World like was I mean, that would be
I don't think.
better.
Yeah, I guess, but I mean, yeah, it can't really be a mark on it. But I mean, who knows how that gets decided? What's on those tracks? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And for all I know, that's the Poles and the Polish and the Japanese loved it. Maybe they loved it.
Maybe.
I wonder where it was placed. Was it like at the end of the vinyl? Was it
Yeah, I
like?
think they just put it at the end, I think.
Yeah. So it was also included on deluxe LP edition, exclusive 7-inch vinyl of the album. So
Oh,
which is
see, that's
unusual.
bad. Yeah.
Yeah, but again, I mean, who decides these things? I don't think the band would have been like, yeah, put that on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't even feel like they care about stuff like that.
Probably
Once
not.
they've done the album, really. But let's go to the reviews, shall we?
Ooh.
Straight to the reviews. Straight. That's the quickest we've ever got to the reviews part on AM this era. So just in enemy list is where we are because there's obviously no reviews of this out there. So
Yes.
what would you say? Where would you say she's placing 2013 in the pantheon?
I would say this is last. I think this is the last song. I would say what's it's 1 to what? What's the lowest number?
104 is the lowest number.
I
on
would
the
say
list.
it's 104. I think it's 104.
It is 104. You would be correct.
Yeah,
It's
that's
104.
probably the one I'm gonna get one for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it would be if I obviously this isn't included in the car, is it? So there are another only 10 tracks to be added to it. So there's only like 114, isn't there?
Yeah.
And she hasn't included some stuff that I think we will in there. If I recall, there was some omissions with tracks that Miles is on and all that kind of thing, which we found strange.
Yeah.
The
The instrumentals, I don't think they put the Death Ramps on. Oh, none of the Death Ramp songs. Or well, no, they put Nettles on here, but like they didn't have the Nettles instrumental song on here. Or I mean, not the Death Ramps, I think. So yeah, weird.
Yeah, weird. But I think I can say with almost certainty that when we sit down to the list, the bad thing will be 114, and this will be 113. So it is going to be there or thereabouts.
Sure.
Are there any? Let me just ask you. Don't give us an answer because
Yeah.
we've still got 2 albums to come that you're going to be hopefully with us for. Not saying that as if there's any contention, but just that I've been stung before. That like, would you say that? Are there any other tracks that you would put beneath the bad thing in your list, perhaps? Either in the past or future, do you think you're going to have any lower than the bad thing other than this?
Maybe.
Really? Wow.
I can't. I honestly can't say with 100% certainty like this one, but potentially.
Yeah, I can't think of anything to come that I viscerally dislike more than the bad thing. So like even though the car, like we haven't I need to. Well, in the lead up to the car, I'm going to listen to that quite a lot to kind of get myself back into it because a lot of times taken up on this podcast the last couple of years. So it's it's probably the one Arctic Monkeys album that I haven't been able to listen to loads, purely because I'm busy with this stuff, and then we do the albums before and everything. So it has been left by the wayside a bit. So I divulge in it, but I can say now that I don't think there's no tracks on there that I wouldn't rather listen to The Bad Thing over, I think. And there's definitely not on Tranquility. So that's going to be interesting to see. The Bad Thing and this kind of being the benchmark of poor Arctic Monkeys at the bottom there for us to compare stuff to. But has there been anything previous that you would have beneath The Bad Thing? Do you think?
Yeah, actually, I do. I think so. I don't. Yeah, bad thing is it's not high. Let me go ahead and clarify. It's not high, but yeah, yes. Actually, one comes to mind. Yeah, there might be 4 to 5 ish.
Between your Bad Thing stuff and your not liking genres or sort of sound changes on albums and tracks, despite the fact Favorite Worst Nightmare being full of them, I think you have a case of Favorite Worst Nightmare itis, where you are so in love with that album, much like I do with Suck It and See. Perhaps you could say you're so in love with that album that you pass over its flaws easier than others, I would say.
No,
and I do that
I just
for,
like
I do that for Suck It and See.
Well, the thing is like I never with I could say definitively within the past 10 years, I have not listened to Favorite Worst Nightmare within the past 10 years where I'm listening to The Bad Thing though. See, that's the difference. Is I never just say I'm gonna throw on Favorite Worst Nightmare as the Arctic Monkeys released it. So I listen to it as I listen to it. So I don't think that necessarily holds true to my Bad Thing justification, because I don't listen to The Bad Thing with Favorite Worst Nightmare. So little caveat.
Yeah, I suppose. But you reorder it, don't you? As well. So
yeah, it's I put it
you
completely off a different album. Yeah, so
yeah, which is it's your thing. But
yes.
we will move. That is very much your thing to do that. We will now move into the music part. We're here already. Look at that. It took about 10 minutes to get from the input here, if that. Actually, probably 5 minutes. So look, I actually think it's a pretty decent guitar riff and bass and drums, that opening. I quite like that riff. I do think like there is potential for this song to have had more lyrically to like that. I do often wonder like if it wasn't about 2013 and it was just another sort of AM lust song, would people have taken to it more? Is it the lyrics that are sort of striking people off more? And then that's kind of covering your judgment on the music as well, because you're so put off by the lyrics. I think that's an interesting chat we can have at the end, perhaps. But really, yeah, I don't mind it. I think it's a decent guitar riff, bass and drums. You know, it's just a sort of fun, catchy riff. You know, same vein as IDST, Electricity, just a sort of riff. You know, it's just a riff. The song is led by a riff.
So the big difference here, and one of the things I want to kind of save for this discussion because it's not going to be very long anyways, but one of the big differences here is this is one of the very, very few songs, excluding the next 2 albums, because that's such a huge different departure in some ways. But if I never heard this song before and you showed me this instrumental, I would never have guessed it was an Arctic Monkeys song. There's no elements of this that make me feel like it's intrinsically an Arctic Monkeys instrumental. Whereas like IDST, I remember us being actually quite impressed with like the bass and like some of the guitar on what IDST had to bring. It was the vocals that were actually quite silly. And in the same way, I think we compliment Brick by Brick's music a lot, and it's the lyrics that make it silly. I do not think that this instrumental is up to par with even those songs, to be honest.
But you would, because that's just something I actually mused on when it occurred to me when I was listening to I Want to Be Yours last week.
Okay, yep.
It occurred to me that you've said that a lot. So if I was to play you the Arabella chorus, you would also not, and you never knew, and it was instrumental, you would also not think that was Arctic Monkeys, right? Because
well, the chorus, but it's because it's literally a Black Sabbath song, but the verses are very Arctic Monkeys.
I just think it's come up a few times on this album where you've said that in parts of songs, at least, maybe not the whole song, where you wouldn't
Yeah,
think
maybe
it doesn't.
parts. Yeah.
And I agree with that. I was listening to "I Want to Be Yours" instrumentally last week, and I thought this, parts of this when you listen instrumentally, it doesn't really sound like what some stuff they do, a lot of monkeys. But then I thought we've said that so many times now that you almost have to reassess what you think they are. Like when you keep saying that, and you okay, like, and then but you could say that about every album, right? If I went back to before I knew the next album and listened to it instrumentally, if I'd listened to Pretty Visitors instrumentally before, at the end of Fate Nightmare, someone plays me instrumental Pretty Visitors, would I have gone, oh, that's Arctic Monkeys? Probably not, actually, if we're being completely honest. Like, if you take off your knowledge and hindsight. So sometimes I think I don't really know what they are. They change every time, and obviously, as Helder said on that Drumeo, like he said on he said on something with a quote from Nisox or no, hi, where do you call when you hi it was, and he said Elders feels when Alex is done with something, he's done with it, and he moves on. So I never really know what they are. I just know we know some of the elements and the lyrics and stuff. And that's why this one falls into a recognizable lyrical song for me, because I can recognize that that's Alex's jokey lyrics. That's him having a laugh. With the music, I think to me, it does sound in vain with some of the stuff on this album, to be honest. A bit Arabella-y, a bit that kind of rock guitar. It's just more stripped down. I can hear the drums and the bass on Matt and Nick. Like that is apparent to me. I think it's actually quite a good bass and drum beat.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't mind it. I think it's all right. It's just a rock riff. I mean, that's why I think it's a pastiche of rock songs, because there's so many rock songs like this which are just a riff and it bass and drums that are all right, and it just kind of does that. And IDST. I mean, I think if you'd have played me IDST instrumentally and not known before Suck It and See came out, and we'd just come from Humbug, I don't know if I would have known that was them instrumentally. Like Evil Twin, I would
Nick's
have.
bass was pretty badass on
Yeah, but I'm not saying it's
IDST,
bad.
and
I'm
that,
just
like,
saying. Yeah, but I'm not saying it's bad. I'm saying I wouldn't
recognizable,
recognize it. Yeah. I love IDST, but like that's why it's in the same kind of form to me. It's that like repetitive riff where, and then what I've noticed on tracks where they have a repetitive riff, they tend to make the lyrics jokier. You could even say it about "Don't Sit Down," right? They're basically comedic lyrics that he's written for "Don't Sit Down." The whole concept of the song's silly. It seems to me whenever they have a repetitive rock riff, I think it's that thing of them wanting to stay away from going too far into silly rock. So their way of going, we've got this song and it sounds a bit too rock riffy. So what we're going to do is we're going to have silly lyrics, if that makes sense. I feel like they've done that a number of times up to this point, where they've been a bit scared of doing a serious love song on top of it because it might sound like sort of generic rock. So what they've done is to counteract that is they've backed off and just gone, let's just put a silly lyric over it. And I think they belong as B-sides. I think unfortunately some of them obviously haven't been, but I think for me it's just like that same kind of riff as IDST. I'm not saying it's as good, but I don't really have any. I don't listen to it. Do you think if you listen to it like instrumentally and not knowing it was them, do you think you would think it was bad? I don't think I would think it was bad.
I would. So here are my notes. So I'm specifically starting the song off. I think the first verse is probably the worst part sonically of this song. So the notes I have specifically going to the first verse before we get to the chorus is it sounds like a cheesy 70s rock riff, which is what we've said. I found the drums, at least now it does change. It does change. So I will be fair. I found the drums to be pretty standard during the verse. And then I found the drums actually to be kind of annoying during the chorus. The first part of this instrumentation, the only positive I have to say about the first part is that little transition, the guitar lick transition going from the chorus into the second verse, the like the little run he does, that's really the only part that I found to be like kind of interesting. I found the rest of it to be kind of standard and lackluster. I found it kind of annoying, to be honest with you.
I mean, you don't like 70s rock, do you? Because you didn't really like the Sabbath album, did you? No. So, whereas I kind of do. So maybe that's why I kind of like it a bit more. I don't mind a bit of 70s rock. I like a bit of cheesy 70s rock, it's fun. And I think, and again, but I think that does hold to my theory that they recognized that it was 70s cheesy rock. So they just made a silly song with it. Like, I think in a way it would be more offensive if this had serious lyrics. To be honest with you, but yeah, like the Bad Thing did have serious telling a story in it, wasn't it? Yeah, I do like. I think the chorus is fine. It's again, it doesn't like annoy me at all. It's just what it is, and I think if I heard it instrumentally, I'd go, okay, is this I wonder what lyrics they put over this. I'd be kind of curious, but I think 9 times out of 10, if you'd play me that instrumentally and asked me to guess what the lyrics, I would have said I think they're gonna have stupid lyrics on this, just based off knowledge that I have of them to this point. This is gonna be like an IDST. This is gonna be a whatever else kind of they've done it brick by brick. I do like the chorus and the way the riff expands out. The guitar riff kind of expands out a bit. There's like a sort of wig out guitar at the end of the chorus as well, which I quite like.
That's the one piece that I do kind of like.
Yeah.
That little wig out like run that he does on the guitar. That's the one piece.
And I think as it moves into the second verse, Hell just throws some extra drums in the second verse to make it more upbeat, which I like. I like that kind of making it a bit fast paced. That's cool.
Yes.
Second chorus is much of the same, much as though apart from Hell just stepping up the drums.
Yeah. Well, I would say that actually the second verse is significantly better in all aspects for me. We're not talking about the lyrics yet, but instrumentation wise, everybody kind of changes in the second verse. It gets a little bigger, like you said, a little kind of more faster paced. It's got like a little more energy to it. So comparatively, the second verse is better for me.
Yes, I'd say the second verse is my preferred verse as well out of the two.
Yeah.
I like the slow down pace breakdown.
Okay.
The bass and drums, and then that very old school guitar solo. And that's one of those things that stands out to me again, is them knowing that this is silly, because that's not the kind of solo that we expect from them, and that kind of set 70s really again, isn't it? 70s rock kind of like no wow or anything. It's just a kind of clean, but that kind of what you could imagine on a stage, like Brian May going like that kind of. It's that kind of vibe, that old school vibe, and I think that isn't very them. So I can imagine just in the studio having a laugh, going, "Let's put an old solo over it" or something like that. And then obviously it moves, but we'll stick to that solo-y bit if you want for a sec.
Yeah, I said actually the spacey guitar solo is okay, and I kind of like the tone that they're using, like just the overall tone of the guitar is pretty good. Not
nice.
The best solo tone that they've had on this album by far, but and just being fair, it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's nice, and again, I think there's nothing like wrong with it per se. It's just a old school style. I actually really like this acoustic bit. Actually, I like the double acoustics and the way it sounds. And do you remember when we did for subscribers? We did She Does the Woods recently, about 2 weeks ago. And there was a bit where they had a breakdown with acoustic and strings, and I said it reminded me of a song, a B-side coming up that you wouldn't expect. This is the bit that reminds me of that bit. It's got a similar kind of vibe to it, just with strings, and this one has more kind of spacey effect.
And it's so funny when you said that. I had literally just never listened to the song. Probably hadn't listened to it since 2013, the year, and I was like, "What? There's some acoustics in 2013." Like I remember like the main riff of it, but I was like, "What the hell is he talking about?" I assumed you were talking about this, but I was like, I just don't know that song at all. So that was a surprise for me. I did make a note that the transition to the acoustic part is the best part.
It's a good bit, isn't it? It's a nice melodic bit. It's they do it quite well, but again, it sounds like generic rock. Generic rock does that a lot, where it transitions acoustic. So again, I think the pastiche in that, and his vocals have some nice effects on it here. Actually, I quite like his voice in this bit as well. It's very classic Alex melodic, but he's got this kind of spacey almost maybe vibe on it. And then I like the way the bass and the drums come back in, and then I like that dueling guitar and drums, that kind of that kind of thing. It's very Electricity. I thought that bit did remind me of Electricity a bit, with that kind of dueling guitar. And then obviously it all comes back in.
And Matt's drum I did make a note. Matt's drum transition into that all coming back in is quite good there. Yeah,
he did some great drum rolls. And then the outro is essentially kind of a more hectic version of the chorus as an outro, and Hell does it again, bringing that kind of thing onto it. Look, honestly, I think the music's decent. It's not very them, and I think they know that, and it's pastiche. I mean, there are elements of AM in this track. I do think I can see why this riff was written. I can see why this riff was written while they were making AM. Let's say I can hear that, and then they've just but they've realized it's too much the other way, perhaps. So they've done it as a joke, and I think musically it's fine. It doesn't offend me. It's not weak. Like, I wouldn't say it's weak. I would say they're doing some stuff in there. Sometimes I do think they have a couple of tracks in the early days and stuff where you go, that was a bit weak musically, and it's because they're much younger and they're newer. They've only been playing instruments for so long. There's no point do I think this feels weak, And to be honest with you, if you can kind of do something that isn't the same as what you normally do and pastiche it and do it well in a style, then you're probably becoming good musicians. Do you know what I mean? Because you can kind of recognize that sound. And yeah, I think the music's all right. I wouldn't have had it'd be interesting to know. I'm in two minds about whether the song would be received better if it was like a love song or a sexy song like AM. And also if it wasn't jokey lyrics, which I think are jokey, obviously we may differ. If it is jokey lyrics, then but I don't think it deserves love song. It doesn't deserve serious lyrics. It deserves to be a bit of a laugh. So I'm kind of happy that they went that way with it, because I don't think it would have been any better without that. Although the one melodic bit where it does get a bit thingy is nice, but
yeah.
But yeah, it's
this is a big difference.
Me.
Yeah, this is a big difference for me, because I have said in the past, like, especially Brick by Brick, IDST, Don't Sit Down, specifically because those have been very recent. There's probably other ones too, but that I wish that they had written serious lyrics, because I find the music in that has a lot of potential and quite interesting. And it would be interesting to see what they did if they decided to take it more seriously. This is one where I somewhat agree with you in that I'm like, yeah, this deserves joke lyrics, but I this is one of the, like, seriously, it might be the only one that I'm like, I don't really even care about the instrumentation. I don't want to hear Alex try to be serious over this. I feel like even if Alex had brought some like fire lyrics to this, unless it was just like some crazy different melody or something, I still wouldn't really enjoy this song. I don't think the instruments are that good here.
I think they're okay. I don't think there's any problem with it. I think I know you don't like 70s rock, right? And it sounds like 70s rock, so that's probably part of it. But it's like, it would be unfair of you to say that 70s rock doesn't sound like is bad. You just don't like, like it's bad, like musically, as in the people aren't good at what they do. Do you see what I'm saying? I don't think you say that. You just say it's not to your taste. Style, but
yeah.
In the same way that I said in the pre-show that I don't really like heavy metal and stuff, but it's not to my taste, but I appreciate that they're very technical, good musicians and they're good at what they do. So it's that kind of thing. But yeah, it doesn't really bother me, this one, to be honest.
All right.
But let's get into our covers of it then, because that is an interesting conversation considering what we've said about it. If you're finished with the music, I should say.
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay, well, let's listen to the covers then.
I'm gonna form a covers band and all.
All right, Justin, what did you give us for this one then?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't put too much thought into this, but for some reason, like, especially because the musing and the idea of like his age, I did Kurt Cobain, because there are some, like, if you ever listen to some Nirvana, like Insecticide and stuff, there are some he's done some jokey lyrics, and I could just imagine Kurt Cobain not being dead and making it to 2013 and being like legit critical of these things. So I was like, let's just do Kurt Cobain.
That's funny, isn't it? Some people die like, and the legacy is better off for it,
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, no, I think that's an interesting point. And also, you just reminded me in terms of like the comedy thing, like that inspiration of like, we'll talk about in the lyrics, but like the John Cooper Clarke stuff and that. But like, also, I always felt like Eminem was like probably an influence on the comedy, like the funniness of Alex's lyrics with the rapping, right? Because Eminem's lyrics are very like written to be like, for some, well, not for all the songs, so it's quite bleak, but like for a lot of the songs, the early stuff, they're comedic, aren't they? In there, in
Sure,
their sort
sure,
of
yeah.
writing. Yeah, like he's quite comedic the stuff he's saying. So yeah, I thought Eminem was a good reference point as well for Alex probably. But let's hear Kurt Cobain. Well, for the subscribers, we will hear Kurt Cobain doing it, and for the rest of you, you're gonna get an ad because there was no video this week to put the ad in, was there? So we're gonna put it here.
Yeah.
Imagine if there was a video for this. We're gonna put it here.
Oof.
Love the podcast? Get even more with our exclusive Patreon content. For just £3 a month, extended versions of our episodes, in both video and audio, released a week early with pre-show album reviews specially selected to set the tone for each track. This era's artists include The Black Keys, Ashanti, Outkast, Black Sabbath, T-Rex, Elton John, Leonard Cohen, The Coral, Dr. Dre, Gorillaz, Queens of the Stone Age, and Aaliyah. Also every week, we use cutting-edge software to create AI-generated covers of each track by artists we've handpicked. Playback and commentary on official music videos for single releases. Enjoy acoustic or special live performance watch-alongs at the end of each episode. Post-show debriefs, including our new segment, It's Nothing on the Early Stuff, where we compare each track to the band's back catalogue. Plus, we regularly put out bonus content and watch-alongs. And for all you Shadow Puppets fans out there, upgrade to our £5 tier and get everything above, plus a monthly deep dive into a track from the last Shadow Puppets back catalogue, PLSP watch-alongs, and the chance to choose a non-Monkeys related track for us to cover in our usual format. So, join us now at patreon.com/Arctic Podcast and unlock the deeper cuts, behind the scenes chat, and the Arctic extras you won't find anywhere else. I tell you what though, the bit when he's going, it's 2000 before the breakdown happens and that guitar's going like, I did think actually then I thought, you know what, that is classic Arctic Monkeys though. That kind of guitar and bass and drums going there. That's
Yeah,
like you've heard that in
that part
yeah,
is,
that
yeah.
Famous Nightmare, Humbug, so that is them. But I decided, I just thought, fuck it, I'm gonna have a laugh. Who can I pick for 2013? And I thought, okay, well, there's one other artist that has a pretty famous song about a year. So I thought I'd hear what Prince sounds like in
Nice,
2013.
Do you remember what episode was that where you
when
were
I
like,
forgot that?
Yeah, you forgot that 1999 was like the biggest. What was that? That
but
was so funny.
Because I don't actually even think we were talking about 2013. I think it was something else, and I said,
It was something
does
else.
anyone
and
else
yeah,
have a
you're
song
like,
about a year? How many
that's
songs
more
are about
famous?
years?
And I was
It's more famous. But what song would I have been talking about in the bit? Because there's no Arctic
I
Monkeys songs
honestly
of
don't
a year, is there?
remember. Yeah, I don't remember. But it was within like this series because it was just
yeah,
me
it
and
was.
you. It was
Maybe it was a
recent, yeah.
pre-show. Maybe I was talking about a different band, not Arctic Monkeys.
Could have been.
Maybe
Could
it was
have
in the
been.
pre-show. Yeah, I said if it was on the pre-show, then yeah, I said that there aren't. I can't think of any famous songs about years apart from the most famous song about years, obviously. So let's see what Prince sounds like doing this song. So yes, that is the covers. If you want to hear them and to see a lot more content, then come subscribe at patreon.com/Arctic Podcast. So the lyrics, like, I guess people's annoyance at the lyrics of this, like, you know, I just don't see how it's any different to other songs where he's kind of played with funny themes before and sort of mismatched stuff. Really, I mean, look, they're stupid. There's no way we can get around the fact that these are just silly, stupid lyrics. But I think I can only assume it annoys people that think it was like on purpose, you know, which wouldn't be like the people listening to this podcast.
Well, okay, so I had mentioned this before. So, okay, so I think the problem is I do believe that they wrote it as a joke. I don't think it at any point in this song being made did they said this is a serious song. That's not the problem I have. However, Brick by Brick is clearly, they say brick by brick over and I want to rock and roll. Like they're doing it together, but there are things here, like even in these first lyrics, like the times are slowly changing, baby, even when it's like,
Yeah, it's a Bob Dylan joke, right?
And rewind. Huh?
Yeah, but
a Bob Dylan joke?
Yeah, the times are slowly changing. There's a famous Bob, these times are changing. I always saw that as a Bob Dylan joke.
Well, yeah, but even the aspect, even when it's live, you can press. Oh, shit, I took my notes off. I came back to look at your face.
You see that? I'm intrigued to see how you see this one as a serious pops lyric.
You can press pause and rewind because I mean, so even like they're going into this, they're recording this album and they're talking about like the hip hop stuff, and this is like the time where a lot of the hip hop stuff started transition, where they're literally just like singing over their backing tracks and stuff like that.
I don't think that's what he's saying at all. I think he's referring to what we call Sky Plus that you call TiVo.
TiVo?
Do you call it TiVo? You know when you have a box and you're watching cable and you can pause it even when it's live and rewind it.
Sure, and rewind it. Yeah, even when it's live TV. Yeah. You can skip
I think that's what
people skip the commercials and stuff like that. Yeah,
that's what he's referring to here. Not music production.
Yes, but I think it kind of like touches on the same like aspect of just like analog versus digital, right? It's kind of like just the critique of analog versus digital.
I don't see it as any kind of critique.
Transition of a digital age.
It's just what he's doing. He's talking about the joke for me is he's name checking all this stuff that's amazing that you can do now. It's 2013, but he's picked stuff which is quite banal, really, and he's put it in a funny way. For me, it's social commentary on the stuff. So what I wanted to touch on was what we touched on a lot last week. And this week is that style of writing that he influenced him from the beginning, like John Cooper Clarke. You know, this isn't similar to me in that way that, like, you know, I want to be your Lecky Meter, you'll never run out. Rustafari Cortina, like it's humorously silly, but people also find that song quite romantic. It gets read at weddings and stuff, and the song is very romantic. Obviously, that the Arctic Monkeys put together. This is like that. It's picking up on social stuff that is quite new technology, but he's picked like silly stuff and worded it in a way that's stupid. I don't think he's any kind of serious commentary on it blowing you away or anything. Like, I think it's
But don't you think he really feels that way though?
No.
Really? You don't think he has those thought about tech? These guys who like
in the same way that we all go, oh, now I can pause TV and rewind live sport, in the way that we all did a little bit, but not really. Like, you kind of just go with it, don't you? I don't think you're ever blown away.
But even now that we know like about the next albums that come out and how everything became so much more analog for them, and how he, you know, made these old videos trying to use like film and stuff like that. I think that's his kind of personality.
I don't see any connection to this Tranquility really, other than a coincidence. I think it's a coincidence. I don't think he was having these thoughts
not necessarily
at this time.
True Tranquility, but that he really feels that way as a person.
Yeah, but I mean, we're talking, it's such a lot, like, even 6 years, because this was like before, you know what I mean? So, like, 5 years before it. Like, he changed so much in that time. I mean, like 25 to 30, he got given that, or 32, or 26 to 32, he got given that piano and stuff like that. I just think he changed so much during that period. I can't even equate it. If this was like 2 years later, I'd say maybe, or a year, but it's such a, like, even my life in that 5-year period without them was drastically different in every single possible way before we got to, and my thoughts and opinions changed a lot during that time as well, and a lot of stuff. So I don't actually know. I don't believe that he's in the same way that we all do, in a kind of passing way, and it's a bit of social commentary in that sense, but only in the same way that you could say Don't Sit Down has some kind of social commentary in there, but at the end of the day, it's silly, right? Like some of the stuff that you might not understand in there about
the bonfire night,
stuff like that. Yeah, in the same way that is, it's like a kind of jokey kind of and I think for me I think it is a Bob Dylan reference, and I think the joke there is because that Bob Dylan reference starts with that, well, these times are changing, and then he's talking about how things were changing in that time. It's social commentary, and they're doing that here, but in a jokey way, like, because now in 2013 this is how things are changing, but in a basic bitch, like, isn't this I say basic bitch, Jesus, in a basic way. Fuck, although that was happening to me.
Talking about 2013.
Wow. I'm going back. I've pressed pause and I've rewound it round. they're like, yeah, and he's talking about fucking like TiVo boxes, and you do call them TiVo, right, in America?
I think
we
so.
call them Sky
Actually,
Plus.
now it's
Yeah,
been
yeah.
so long now that I don't. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what you call it now, but we have a thing that's called Sky Plus, where you could pause it and rewind TV, and we're all like, I don't know who the fuck watches TV like that now. Anyway, I don't even have cable or anything. I just stream everything. I don't know what why people pay for that, but like it's yeah, I just think it's not serious. I just can't see it being serious, and I think I expect like I tell you what, there is one part of the song, one passage that I will say is a bit of a commentary that I don't think he even realized how pertinent it would be, and he picks up on that same commentary in Tranquility. So I will give you that through line, okay?
Is it the next lines?
No, it's second verse. So yeah, for me, this is not. I don't think this is a commentary. I think, it's a bit of social commentary, but it's not like he's thinking it's like a serious. So it's not like he's going, this is like an actual commentary on the song. And I don't even believe he wrote this solely. I really don't believe he sat writing this to the bass and the drums solely. I think this was all of them together.
Yeah.
Which we found out
Yeah,
they do
I
a lot
think
more
that'd
than
be
we
fair.
thought anyway. But yeah, I could imagine sat in a bar drinking, writing down funny
Sure.
lyrics for this song. You could just see it, can't you? They're those guys. They're definitely like that's who they are, and we love them for it. But the next passage is, you knew it'd go amazing, but is this what you had in mind? Oh, there's nothing you can't find. Yeah, kind of talking about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, he's talking about the fact that we all.
the
I mean,
internet. You can find
we knew it'd
anything.
go amazing. You can get anything now. Yeah, that kind of thing. And what is funny about
Yeah.
this song as well is we know that Alex is famously he's a Luddite with technology. Like,
Yeah,
he's referenced it
that
loads of
was kinda
times. That
my-
he's actually
yeah,
really
yeah.
poor. He's really poor at it. So that's why I think even more was this other people writing lyrics, because I don't even know if he'd be like on mind track of like this stuff. Like, would he been thinking about Apple and stuff on his phone, like what's coming? But yeah, it's 2013 all across the galaxy. It's 2013, yeah, which I do find funny from how there's the yeah. But that 2013 all across the galaxy is again, it's a stupid funny line. They're going, how could we say this in a sort of I think I touched
Well,
on
he's
this in
keeping his
Arabella,
theme
actually.
consistent. I'll give him that. He's had a lot
Well-
of space theme going on in this album.
Yeah, and it's like that kind of thing I was saying on Arabella about this. A lot of rock songs doing this hot girl equated to space and galaxy and stuff like that. So yeah, it's that similar kind of theme, and yeah, it's clearly written. I think that's how can we write a stupid rock chorus line, and because this is so obvious, in a way. So you could hear so many bands that I could say that I think aren't very good who would write that as a serious lyric or in a similar world, So yeah, I think that just sounds like a laugh to me. But the next bit, probably one of the most definitive. This is them being funny and rewording it in a way that's funny. On the back of a transmitter, there's a little shiny fruit, and it's coming after you. Obviously talking about an Apple phone, quite
Sure.
obviously. I think accidentally they do touch on some of that, because what you got to remember is 2013. People weren't talking about like how this stuff was bad for us. It was all quite new and exciting. Now listening back to that lyric 12 years later, you could go, oh, it's like all that shit has come for us, and look how obsessed we are with our phones and our, like, me in particular, I have
Sure.
like 4 different Apple products in my living room, like there are Apple TV, my phone, my laptop, that's something else as well. But like headphones, Apple AirPods, you know what I mean? They definitely have come for me and taken me over. So, but I don't think at the time people were saying that. It all felt very different.
Well,
apart
I
from
don't
some,
know.
maybe
It's
the
it's
cities.
hard. It all kind of blurs together because like there was always the joke of like the pod people equating it to like Invasion
Yeah,
of the Body
yeah.
Snatchers and stuff. So, but I mean, there was always criticisms of like a really big cut like Disney and buying up all these smaller companies and stuff.
Oh
But-
yeah.
So that's why I was saying like, and it's coming after you. Like I really do. I don't think Alex wrote it seriously to be a serious commentary on Apple's status, but I do think he really feels that way and has felt that way because of his link to technology. Like I really do think that that's who he is. So I think that this has a ring of truth, not just in like the world, but like in what Alex thinks.
Yeah, I mean, we all have that reservation, right? So that's why I don't think he's doing anything like too like committed there. Because I remember thinking at the time I didn't get any Apple products for ages because I was very sure that I wasn't going to go down that rabbit hole,
Yeah.
and then I got them and I realized, oh, these are actually way better than all the like this phone is way better than other phones, and this MacBook is going to last 7 years when a normal laptop's probably going to last 2 years before I have to buy a new
Yeah,
one, you
yeah,
know. And
yeah.
you start to realize, oh, the quality is just better. So here I am now, I'm succumbed completely to them as a company. And I actually think like Apple TV actually I think put out the best content of all the streamers. It just doesn't seem to get as picked up on as well. But
Mm.
like, so I kind of, but I at the time had a lot of these thoughts as well. But I just don't think, yeah, okay, it might be what he might think, but they're not putting it in any context that should make you think about it. And I think it's the same with the next line, which is, and as for Instagram and Twitter, which is very like them to actually just name check stuff. She got caught in both lassos, and neither one will cut her loose. Very on brand to put it in a sort of Western way. And I think he's touched on there something he touches on in Tranquility again when he says, he got sucked into a hole by a handheld device.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so it's the same kind of idea about us, falling down the hole, the YouTube hole or whatever, or that well, I know I do. I can, so especially when I'm
Yeah.
doing my research for this on YouTube for some of the clips, I end up on YouTube for about an hour and realize I've done absolutely nothing. But like, yeah, so I think he's touching on that, which obviously is a bit, but again, I see it in a social commentary in a comedic way. In the same way the first album was kind of like social commentary, but not. It's not like it was like deep social commentary.
That's
It was
true.
just comedic.
That's fair. Yeah, that's true.
Which is John Cooper Clarke all over, really, to be honest with you.
Yeah, see, I guess that's the thing is like this feels like, and maybe it's because time has gotten so harsh on us where we really do criticize these things so harshly. However, I do think again that is kind of Alex's personality. Like as big as this band got, he's never had any kind of profile or anything, any presence online in that way. So
Thankfully,
like I really do think he
like
feels
Mystique.
that way. Oh no,
I do.
yeah, yeah.
I agree with you,
actually,
but-
I think it's quite amazing that he's never had any kind of like that's like really shocking this day and age.
It's
I know
something I
he's
dream
kept that
of.
consistent.
I say it all the time to my girlfriend. I want to delete all my socials. I just haven't had the balls to actually do it yet. But I am obsessed with the idea that
Yeah.
actually my life would be better off without them. Like I really do believe
Yes.
that. And this podcast was. I actually wasn't on any of them until we started this podcast, and then I went back to like do stuff for the podcast, especially Twitter I was on, which I've now obviously deleted. But like, I don't really use socials at all. I know, but you go on my Instagram, there's probably about 8 photos over 10 years. Like I just don't. I if I go somewhere, then I'll post like when I'm in Italy, I'll probably put loads of stories out. Like, but I'm just not that kind of person, and I wish I only stay on them to like scared of missing out, I guess. But sometimes I just think, why am I like get caught like scrolling through stuff? And most of the stuff annoys me, right? Stuff I don't want to know about that's going on in the world that's just gonna wind me up, like Trump stuff and that. And like I wish I could just stay away from it all. So I kind of envy Alex in that way that he's got the balls to kind of do that, But who knows? He might have secret accounts under different names that we wouldn't know, even if it was him.
Maybe
Yeah,
he
people
does.
do that. I know famous people do that, but yeah, I like it. I think it adds to his mystique as a man to not have him constantly. Because the worst thing you want is you don't sometimes want to find out the opinions of your heroes, right? You don't want to see him post something that you go, "Ooh, I'm not sure about that." And Helders uses his quite well. I like the way Helders does it. Helders is a member of the band
his
that
wife's ass all the time.
well, good for him. Helders and good for her. Helders does it he's the one member of the band where it makes sense because he used to do all the videos and that. He's that kind of guy.
Yeah, it's kind of got that obsession
but
anyways, yeah.
I feel like Instagram is the one platform where you get away with it because Instagram isn't about posting your opinions and stuff, is it? It's about posting photos and videos. It's not. It's not like like posting MAGA stuff out, is it? I mean, no, it's like or to be balanced. There's a lot of far left shit that I don't get down with as well. I'm in between, but yeah, I just think, but in the way it can be what you believe, but also not be serious. Like how here's what I equate it to. Okay, I did stand up for quite a few years. And there'd be a lot of stand-ups I'd write where I'd be writing a point about something that actually means a lot to me, but I would be presenting it in a jokey fashion with jokes. And I think Alex actually has a lot of stand-up style in some of his songs. Like he's making a comment, and I actually think Tranquility is quite a funny album in places as well when you really give it the time of day, or quite socially pertinent as well. This isn't as serious as Tranquility gets with some of its social commentary.
Sure,
But
sure.
the funny thing about Tranquility is a lot of people think it's a concept album about the future technology. I think what people miss is that he's actually commentating on now, and he's just
Yeah,
using
yeah,
this
sure.
this spacey stuff. People seem to really not grasp that. Hopefully we can do it some justice when we get to it soon. But yeah, I just think he's having a joke. The rest, and when I said earlier, and you said about, I said I think it does get a little bit like love songy. What I meant was the obviously when the melody changes, he says, "So baby, take a walk with me past flying cars and time machines. There's magic like you won't believe. No." So I think that's a little bit of like, it reminds me of when I kind of felt like there was a bit of the Riot Band breakdown felt a bit romantic, as if almost there was, he's like, come and hide with let's hide together, or whatever it was. It kind of felt a bit
Sure,
romantic
sure.
in that sense. And this kind of felt similar to me in that way, that it's like
Yeah.
yeah, love songy. So yeah, obviously he's saying baby take a walk with me past 5 time machines, there's magic like you won't believe. It's slightly romantic, but also slightly silly at the same time.
I think it's interesting too, because in the way, so he's talking about now, as of now, 2013. Look, we have all these things, like things that people in the past would have imagined that maybe you imagine we had would make the world a better place, more romantic. Let's say romantic play. You romanticize the future, or we used to. We used to romanticize the future as
We
like,
don't
oh,
now
flying
we're
car.
terrified of the future. Shit that's
Exactly.
gonna
So
happen to us.
so I always kind of took it as that way of kind of like, oh, let's go take a walk through the future with now we're romanticizing the flying cars and the time machines. Won't it be so much better then? And it's like, well, we're in the future now and it's shit, kind of idea.
Yeah, I actually saw it as a joke in that he's like equating now to that. So it's like he's saying how amazing everything is, and it's almost like we have flying cars and time machines, but obviously we don't have that kind of technology. He's kind of saying
Yeah.
that's where we are, but we're not. Obviously, we haven't got those things, but that's what it feels like. Like it's kind of that phrase of like, you don't realize we're living in the future. We got these
Yeah.
phones, we got all this crazy shit. It doesn't feel like we're living in the future, but we are, and like,
We now have machines that are creating images like this for us, though.
yes. I mean, it's a lot of the stuff where
our monkeys. Yeah.
I mean, a lot of the stuff
In a
about
flying
being
car.
scared of tech that we were talking about in 2013 is now AI, right? AI is the fear
Yes.
that everyone has. That's
Yeah.
the whether correctly or not. But yeah, I just think it's just a silly song, and there is obviously he believes some of it, but in the same it's jokey social commentary or whatever. It's not real social
Yeah.
commentary. It's not.
Yeah, I
whatever you
don't
would
think
ever
he's
say.
being very serious. Sure.
No. It is what it is. This track.
It is what it is.
And I do think it would annoy me more if the lyrics were serious, like proper serious.
Yeah,
And then I'd be like,
as I
"How-
said before, I don't think it would help the song, so I'm not pushing for that. I'm not like, oh, he really missed the chance to make this a good song. I don't think so.
I think it would help the song generally with people's. I do think it would help, not us, and maybe not everyone, but I do think a lot of people, it's the lyrics that put people off. I do think
Sure,
they're stupid.
sure.
So I think if you had which is funny because "Don't Sit Down" is like one of the songs that people really like and want in the set. So it's funny that, but people really take it for the lyrics, not the music. I think so. Maybe, who knows? Not for me, but maybe for others. But on that vein, should we give our favorite lyric in this track then?
Too busy with the mind on clever lines.
I'm gonna say "Baby, even when it's live, you can press pause and rewind," because I like the way he structured that as a sentence, like as if that's really. It makes me laugh every time when I hear it because he's talking about a cable box you can rewind, but it's like he's almost bragging to the woman, like, "Baby, even when it's live, you can press pause and rewind." Like I like the way he structured
Like he's
that
showing
sentence.
her.
Showing her, yeah, it's quite like as if it's a really like cool thing. It's quite funny, especially looking back now, and so that's such a thing that doesn't even matter anymore, So it's yeah, I would say that it makes me laugh.
Oof, these are all really rough. It was hard to pick one, but I just ultimately went with "So Baby, Take a Walk with Me Past Flying Cars and Time Machines" because it's in the. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just because. That's just the one I ended up on.
Yeah, I mean, I do think like from a comedy point of view, there are some good lyrics like that make me laugh. Like I like the fact I do see that as a Bob Dylan reference, and it's quite funny when you think of it that way. That he started this song and has this really sort of pertinent '70s song about the war and Vietnam and
The
those kind of stuff.
war.
And,
Sure,
and
yeah,
his is just going into a funny kind of song about some shit tech that
Sure.
that shit, but silly tech that we've got. And I actually think the Instagram Twitter Lassu's one is quite pertinent for its time and what will happen to people getting stuck down there. I'm forever like,
You know what's
talking to
crazy? This came out 12 years ago, and that's still a very prominent part of our lives.
more. Oh my god, the amount of time, like my girlfriend, the amount of times I say to my girlfriend, like she'll be on her phone and I'll be saying something, and then she'll look at me and she'll go, "What?" And I'll go, "Every time." I'll be like, "Every time you're on your phone and I'm talking, you have no idea what I'm saying." Sometimes I just start saying stuff like I'll be talking and I'll know she's on her phone, so I'll be talking and I'll suddenly go, "And yeah, I'm going to stab that baby," and then she'll go, "What?" And I'll go, "See, you weren't listening." You weren't fucking listening. So yeah, I haven't stabbed the baby, just so people know. And if you did, you wouldn't know about it. So let's talk about our favorite musical moment.
Might sound in your ear that make you get up and down.
I actually quite like the guitars throughout this, the solo and that. I don't mind it. If there was a specific musical moment though, other than the guitars, I would say that chilled acoustic bit is my favorite part of the song. Almost certainly musically. Also the sort of helders in the second verse, the more upbeat second verse is all right. I can get down with that. So yeah.
Yeah, I picked the guitar at the end of what is it? The choruses that it's almost got this kind of like Middle Eastern type sound or something. The little
It is when
runs.
you do it, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, snake charming. But so yeah, that's it. That's 2013.
That's
We did
it?
it. We did probably.
Oh my God, we made it through.
We made it through. Hey, if we can make it through the bad thing, we can make it through anything. Is what I always say in life generally now. But
Starting right now,
starting right now. I have to say, and this is quite a statement to make. For the net, I don't have a track now that I don't like. Like let's go with the car because I haven't really fully formed all my opinions on the car yet. But like up until now, Tranquility, there's no songs on Tranquility that I viscerally dislike. So I'm here, and to be honest, the whole run there's only really been like two that I know we didn't like Old Yellow Bricks in the moment, but that was kind of a reaction.
Yeah.
But like, there's only been two that I viscerally really
Fire
dislike.
in the Third, yeah.
Oh, Fire in the Flood's another one, I guess. But again, yeah, oh yeah, that probably will be. That will probably be. It'll probably be Bad Thing 2013, Fire in the Flood. That'll probably be the run. Almost definitely, actually. There's been one in every era, but funnily enough, and you could say it's because Tranquility has less tracks, but Tranquility is the one where I don't have one in an era that I viscerally dislike. The first album and Tranquility. Isn't that interesting? Perhaps.
There is a song I don't like in the first era.
What is that?
You'll find out soon.
Oh, okay. Okay, interesting. Well, let's get to the bit where we talk about technology. Let's get to the bit where we ask AI to tell us about the next track we're covering.
Push the button and we'll do the rest.
Stop the World, I Want to Get Off With You is that dizzy, fluttering kind of love, the kind where the rest of the world fades into background noise the second they walk into the room. It's all sly glances and stolen seconds, a hazy flirtation wrapped in velvet guitars and late night tension. Alex Turner sings like he's trying to pin down a moment that keeps slipping through his fingers, the way someone looks at you right before they disappear, the way a secret feels before it's spoken out loud. There's urgency in the groove, but romance in the restraint. He's not begging, he's inviting, softly, coolly, sincerely. It's not about running away forever, just for now. Together, just you and them. One train stop, one locked door, one moment where nothing else exists. A whole city could be on fire, but if they're with you, it can wait. The tune moves like a conversation that's almost too honest, low-lit, leaning in, full of little truths and unspoken what-ifs. Romance never sounded this cool or this quietly desperate. It's the sound of stay with me a little longer, said with a smirk and a spark in the dark. So stop the world, I want to get off with you. Perhaps slight role reversal on this podcast next week.
I know, I'm excited about that potential.
This is a fan favorite. But I'll leave it at that. This is a fan favorite, is all I'll say. And we'll pick
A true fan favorite. If you're a true Monkees fan. You're a true Monkeys fan.
A true Monkeys fan defends 2013 to the fucking hilt, man. That's what a true Monkeys fan does. Die for 2013 on the battlefield. But yeah, we are going to do that next week. Should be a pretty interesting episode. And just 2 left, Justin, for the wrap up. Just 2 tracks.
I know. It's so I can't believe we're at this point, honestly, already.
Oh, there you go.
There
2013.
you go.
Get in touch with your thoughts on 2013, please. Instagram, Arctic Podcasts, arcticpodcasts@gmail.com. Let us know. I'm sure Simon Love will say extremely skippable if he thought that Fireside and Mad Sounds were extremely skippable. But yes, we will be back next week with Stop the World. I want to get off with you. And yeah, this has been 2013, and we will see you next week. Goodbye, everyone.
Have a good week.
Yeah, and stick around if you're a subscriber. I'm very intrigued by what Justin
please stick around.
Don't Believe the Hype is hosted and produced weekly by Justin Toole and Dan Holt. The music used in the titles is royalty-free music courtesy of Les FM. Don't forget to subscribe on your podcast player of choice to be notified every Wednesday when a new episode is released. Sign up with us on Patreon to get exclusive content including coverage of The Last Shadow Puppets, Arctic Monkeys adjacent album reviews, and concert watch-alongs. If you want to help us out further, be sure to like and review to help make us more visible to like-minded souls. We'll see you next week with more of the same.